10 millennia ago, beneath the blazing sun of the Fertile Crescent, you stand as a weary cultivator, surveying your life's work. Sweat drips from your brow as you gaze upon towering grain reserves. Months of grueling toil crystallized into golden sustenance. Yet lurking within these precious stores lies a catastrophe waiting to unfold. Rodents. Not merely a handful, but endless legions cascading through your warehouses like an unstoppable plague, consuming the abundance that separates your family from certain death. But observe closely, Naisher's just so. The magnificent amber-eyed predator glides through your community with ethereal grace. Neither fully feral nor completely domesticated, this enigmatic being represents something revolutionary. This hunter possesses the solution to your devastating infestation crisis. More remarkably, this partnership will fundamentally reshape humanity's trajectory forever. What unfolds before you transcends simple vermin elimination. You're witnessing the genesis of mankind's inaugural companion creature, the extraordinary moment when untamed felines selected humans as partners, and we reciprocated that choice. We're about to explore one of history's most extraordinary alliances between species, a bond that emerged through mutual advantage rather than dominance or captivity. This represents the hidden narrative of how cats transformed into the planet's premier domesticated animals. Prepare yourself. Not everything you assumed about this process is completely incorrect. Here's a revelation that will shatter your preconceptions. Conventional wisdom regarding animal domestication is fundamentally flawed, particularly concerning felines. While humans deliberately captured and selectively bred canines, livestock, and sheep for designated functions, cats pursued an entirely unique trajectory. They accomplished self-domestication. Absolutely correct. Felines literally opted to coexist with humanity. Evidence supporting this incredible transformation lies embedded within ancient grave sites, molecular genetics, and archaeological findings that revolutionize our understanding of these remarkable creatures. We're embarking on a temporal journey spanning 10,000 years to discover the captivating reality behind humanity's most autonomous companions and their decision that human partnership offered unexpected advantages. Our tale commences within the region destined to become civilization's birthplace, the Fertile Crescent, encompassing contemporary Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and the Levantine territories, experienced humanity's most profound metamorphosis. This period represents far more than ordinary historical transition. We're examining the Neolithic Revolution, the pivotal moment transforming our entire species. Throughout hundreds of millennia, humans existed as wandering hunter-gatherers, perpetually migrating while seeking sustenance, never establishing permanent residence. However, approximately 10,000 years ago, something miraculous occurred within the Fertile Crescent. Humanity mastered agriculture, discovering seed cultivation, crop maintenance, and harvest techniques. For the inaugural time in our species' existence, food production exceeded immediate consumption needs. This agricultural breakthrough generated an unprecedented phenomenon, surplus. Humans suddenly possessed sufficient nourishment to survive extended periods of scarcity, enabling permanent settlement establishment. Villages emerged throughout the landscape, introducing completely novel lifestyles. Yet this dramatic transformation produced an unintended consequence, proving absolutely vital to our narrative. Surplus grain requires storage solutions. Early agriculturalists constructed granaries and preservation facilities, protecting valuable harvests from environmental threats. However, they inadequately anticipated one particular danger. When humans began accumulating grain within permanent settlements, they unknowingly established paradise for rodents. House mice, originally native to the Indian subcontinent, mysteriously arrived at these pioneering agricultural communities. Archaeological evidence confirms these cunning creatures ranked among the earliest animals exploiting human habitation. These rodents realized humans essentially provided unlimited grain buffets, prompting permanent relocation. Mouse populations experienced explosive growth around farming communities. We're discussing massive infestations capable of destroying complete grain reserves, not occasional pest problems. Consider laboring for months growing and harvesting sufficient winter provisions, only witnessing rodent hordes consuming everything. For these early farmers, effective pest management transcended convenience, survival depended upon it. Yet here our story becomes truly fascinating. Inhabiting wilderness areas surrounding human settlements lived a wildcat subspecies destined to change everything. The Near Eastern wildcat, scientifically designated Felis sylvestris libica, occupied the perfect position to exploit this emerging ecological opportunity. These weren't typical house cats. These were untamed predators, praeses, independent beings possessing complete hunting instincts expected from apex hunters. However, they displayed one crucial characteristic distinguishing them from global wildcat populations: remarkable human tolerance. While European relatives remained aggressive and territorial, avoiding human proximity entirely, Near Eastern wildcats demonstrated curiosity, adaptability, and most importantly, recognized opportunity where other wildcats perceived threats. Consider their perspective. Peculiar bipedal creatures somehow concentrated massive populations of preferred prey into accessible locations. These mice were plump, sluggish, and utterly unprepared for wild predators. For skilled hunters, human settlements represented incredible fortune. What makes this narrative absolutely captivating is how the human-cat relationship developed completely differently from any historical domestication process. Human dog, sheep, or cattle domestication involved deliberate capture, enclosure, and selective breeding for specific characteristics across generations. Cats adopted an entirely different strategy. They essentially examined early human settlements and declared, "This appears beneficial, I'll remain here." Humans struggling with rodent crises observed these efficient killing machines and responded, "Excellent, you may stay." This created what scientists term a commensal relationship where both species benefit without harm. Cats gained effortless access to abundant prey, while humans acquired nature's most effective pest control system ever developed. This win-win arrangement required no enclosures, breeding programs, or human management whatsoever. Cats best suited for this lifestyle weren't necessarily largest or strongest individuals. They were those capable of tolerating close human proximity and coexisting with other felines. Eventually, natural selection favored the most adaptable individuals, most those thriving within this novel human-created environment. The archaeological evidence supporting this extraordinary bond will absolutely astound you. During 2004, researchers uncovered a breakthrough discovery that completely transformed our comprehension of early feline domestication. Located on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, they excavated a 9,500-year-old burial containing both human and cat remains, a 30-year-old individual alongside their feline companion. Initially, this discovery might appear unremarkable, but allow me to illuminate why this finding proves so monumentally significant. Felines never naturally inhabited Cyprus. The sole method cats could reach this isolated island involved deliberate human transportation. This revelation demonstrates that 9,500 years ago, humans treasured their feline relationships so profoundly they willingly transported these animals across treacherous waters while establishing new settlements. The narrative becomes even more extraordinary. This wasn't merely coincidental burial placement. The human and cat were intentionally interred together, with the feline positioned precisely 16 inches from its human companion. The cat died at only 8 months old, with evidence suggesting deliberate sacrifice to accompany the human into afterlife realms. This burial reveals profound insights about ancient human-feline relationships. These weren't simply utilitarian animals employed for pest elimination. They had achieved almost spiritual status companions, deemed worthy of joining their human partners in death's journey. Genetic evidence surrounding feline domestication proves equally captivating. Contemporary DNA analysis of global cat populations reveals that virtually all domestic felines trace their lineage to this singular Near Eastern wildcat population from the Fertile Crescent. Unlike other domesticated species showing multiple independent domestication events across different regions, cats appear domesticated only once. This genetic consistency demonstrates that Fertile Crescent feline domestication succeeded so completely it spread worldwide, entirely replacing alternative domestication attempts elsewhere. Scientists discovered evidence of ancient Chinese cats during the same period, but these represented completely different species, leopard cats, and that domestication effort ultimately collapsed. Near Eastern wildcat domestication success proved so absolute, it essentially eliminated all other possibilities. As agriculture expanded from the Fertile Crescent, these cats accompanied human migration, occupying identical ecological roles in every region they entered. Perhaps most remarkable about feline domestication involves how minimally cats actually transform during this process. Examining other domesticated animals reveals dramatic differences between wild and domestic variants. Domestic dogs bear no resemblance to wolves. Domestic cattle differ vastly from wild ancestors. However, domestic cats remain virtually identical to their untamed counterparts. Changes that occurred were primarily behavioral rather than physical. Cats developed greater human tolerance and increased social behavior with other felines, while retaining independence, hunting instincts, and wild appearance. They essentially gained domestication benefits, while sacrificing very little of their natural character. This minimal transformation reflects the unique human-cat relationship nature. Cats weren't bred for specific tasks like dogs. They weren't intensively managed like livestock. Instead, they remained essentially wild while coexisting alongside humans. Thriving cats were simply those best adapted to exploit opportunities human settlements provided. Feline expansion beyond their Fertile Crescent homeland represents a story of human development and commerce. As agricultural societies flourished and established trading networks, cats traveled alongside them. Maritime vessels proved particularly crucial for cat dispersal, because ships provided ideal environments where feline rodent hunting abilities became especially valuable. Consider yourself as a merchant preparing for lengthy sea voyages 8,000 years ago. Your vessel carries valuable trade goods, including grain and various food supplies. The absolute worst scenario involves rats infiltrating your cargo hold and destroying your investment. Maintaining several skilled feline hunters aboard wasn't merely convenient nulls, it was essential for protecting your livelihood. Archaeological evidence from ancient Mediterranean port cities displays clear feline presence indicators, suggesting these animals served as regular passengers on trading vessels. They were literally the world's inaugural working sailors, earning passage by maintaining rodent-free ships. Isotopic analysis of ancient feline remains provides incredible insights into their diet and lifestyle during these early periods. Scientists can actually determine ancient cat consumption patterns by analyzing chemical signatures preserved within their bones. Their discoveries reveal remarkable evidence that cats lived as genuine human community members, deriving significant dietary portions from prey animals that themselves fed on human-produced crops. This scientific evidence confirms that even during earliest domestication stages, cats weren't merely occasional settlement visitors. They were integrated members of human-modified ecosystems, completely dependent on resources agriculture provided. Feline domestication timeline reveals a process unfolding across several millennia rather than occurring as single dramatic events. The earliest evidence of cats within human settlements dates approximately 9,000 to 10,000 years ago, but complete domestication likely required thousands of additional years. This gradual transformation allowed natural selection to thoroughly modify feline behavior and genetics. Unlike rapid domestication programs potentially producing unstable results, slow natural feline domestication processes created animals perfectly adapted for human coexistence while retaining essential wild characteristics. Transformation wasn't uniform across all regions. However, as cats spread throughout the ancient world, they encountered diverse environments and challenges that shaped their development in fascinating ways. In certain areas, human-cat relationships remained purely utilitarian for centuries longer than others. Yet, within specific cultures, something extraordinary began emerging. Ancient Egypt provides compelling evidence, demonstrating how cats evolved from working animals into cherished companions. While cats didn't originate in Egypt, they arrived approximately 4,000 years ago, discovering a civilization perfectly suited to appreciate their unique qualities. Egyptians had already developed complex animal relationships, viewing numerous species as sacred divine embodiments. When cats arrived in Egypt, they encountered a society prepared to perceive them as more than pest controllers. Egyptian artwork from the New Kingdom period, beginning around 3,600 years ago, displays the first unmistakable depictions of cats as pampered household companions. These aren't working cats lurking around granaries. These are well-fed, decorated animals relaxing in comfortable homes, even wearing jewelry. What's truly incredible, Egyptian cats weren't merely separate domestication branches. Genetic analysis reveals Egyptian cats actually contributed their own lineage to global feline populations. Around 3,500 years ago, a second wave of cat dispersal began spreading from Egypt, carrying cats selectively bred for traits making them even more appealing as companions. This Egyptian contribution to feline genetics suggests ancient Egyptians actively bred cats for desirable characteristics, like increased sociability, docility, and perhaps specific physical features. They weren't content accepting whatever natural selection provided. They wanted creating cats perfectly suited for cherished family member lives. Religious significance of cats in ancient Egypt cannot be overstated. The goddess Basdace, depicted with feline heads, represented one of the most important Egyptian pantheon deities, symbolizing protection, fertility, and motherhood. Cats became so sacred within Egyptian society that killing one, even accidentally, warranted death punishment. Egyptian families mummified deceased cats with identical care given human family members. Archaeological sites throughout Egypt have yielded thousands of cat mummies, some wrapped in elaborate linens and placed in ornate sarcophagi. These weren't ordinary cats either. Many display signs of pampered lives with evidence of regular grooming, medical care, and high-quality diets. Economic importance of cats in ancient Egypt proved so significant the country actually attempted maintaining feline export monopolies. Egyptian law prohibited cat sales to foreign traders, with records of Egyptian officials traveling internationally specifically to repurchase smuggled cats. However, cats proved notoriously difficult controlling, and despite Egyptian efforts, they continued spreading throughout the ancient world via Phoenician traders, Greek merchants, and Roman legions. The Roman Empire emerged as a tremendous catalyst for feline distribution across vast territories. Roman establishments spanning from Britain to Middle Eastern territories display archaeological evidence confirming cat presence, while Roman authors regularly documented felines in their literary works. Unlike Egyptians who revered cats as divine entities, Romans perceived them primarily as functional animals, though they certainly valued their effectiveness as pest eliminators. Roman military encampments created perfect environments for feline populations. These temporary establishments attracted rodents similarly to permanent agricultural settlements, yet they relocated frequently, transporting cats to fresh territories throughout imperial domains. Roman legionaries probably never intended becoming feline distributors, yet that's precisely their historical role. Genetic documentation from this era reveals captivating narratives of population integration and territorial expansion. As felines dispersed throughout Roman territories, they occasionally crossbred with indigenous wildcat communities, though these genetic contributions remained minimal. Domesticated cats from Fertile Crescent and Egyptian origins were so expertly adapted for human coexistence that they consistently outperformed any native wild felines attempting to occupy similar ecological positions. This genetic supremacy transcended mere superior adaptability. Domestic felines possessed another vital advantage. They already inhabited human settlements where resources remained abundant and reliable. Indigenous wild cats would have needed to overcome natural human fears and adapt to completely novel lifestyles, while domesticated cats were already perfectly equipped for these environments. Behavioral modifications occurring during these early domestication millennia were subtle yet profound. Wild felines typically maintained solitary existences, congregating only for mating purposes. However, domestic cats developed abilities to coexist in social groups, sharing territorial spaces and resources with other felines. This social tolerance proved essential for flourishing in human settlements, housing multiple cats. Felines also cultivated enhanced communication capabilities with humans. While wild cats possess limited vocal ranges, domestic cats expanded their sound repertoires, developing distinctive meowing behaviors specifically directed toward humans. Adult cats rarely meow at other felines, yet they meow continuously at humans, suggesting this behavior evolved exclusively for human-cat communication. Physical transformations, while minimal, remain significant. Domestic cats retained wild sizing and fundamental body structures, yet developed some distinctive characteristics. Their faces became slightly more rounded, ears remained proportionally larger into adulthood, and many developed coat colorations and patterns rare in wild populations. These physical changes reflect what scientists term neoteny, retaining juvenile characteristics into adulthood. Domestic cats essentially remained kitten-like throughout their lives, making them more appealing to humans. This wasn't deliberate breeding selection by early humans, but rather natural consequences of humans favoring cats displaying juvenile, non-threatening characteristics. Feline expansion into northern European territories presented particularly intriguing challenges. These regions experienced harsh winters and different prey species than Mediterranean climates, where cats originally evolved. Archaeological documentation from German, Polish, and British sites demonstrates cats successfully adapted to these novel environments, though requiring considerable time. The earliest evidence of cats in Central European territories dates approximately 5,200 years ago, suggesting nearly 5,000 years were required for cats to spread from original homelands to northern regions. This gradual expansion allowed cats to slowly adapt to new climates, prey species, and human cultures. Within certain northern European cultures, cats encountered resistance from established traditions. Many Germanic tribes maintained strong canine associations and viewed cats as foreign curiosities. Centuries passed before cats became fully integrated into these societies, often facing suspicion and superstition persisting well into medieval periods. The Viking Age provides fascinating evidence of cats as valued maritime companions. Norse sagas frequently mention felines, while archaeological evidence from Viking settlements shows clear cat presence indicators. These seafaring warriors apparently recognized practical feline value for maintaining rodent-free ships during extended voyages. Viking vessels were particularly vulnerable to rodent damage because they transported not just food supplies, but valuable trade goods, including textiles and precious metals. Rats could destroy cargo worth small fortunes, making cats literally worth their weight in gold for these maritime traders. Evidence suggests Vikings didn't merely tolerate shipboard cats, they actively sought them. Records exist of Viking traders specifically requesting felines as trade agreement components, with some Viking settlements showing evidence of deliberate cat breeding programs designed producing animals suited for shipboard existence. As cats continued spreading throughout medieval territories, they encountered fresh challenges and opportunities. Christianity's rise in Europe created complex feline attitudes, having lasting developmental effects. Some Christian traditions embraced cats as independents and mystery symbols, while others viewed them suspiciously as potentially demonic creatures. Medieval monasteries became important cat-keeping centers, particularly because monks needed protecting valuable manuscript libraries from rodent damage. Famous illuminated manuscripts from medieval periods often contain charming marginalia depicting felines, suggesting monastic scribes developed genuine affection for their feline guardians. The Black Death pandemic during the 14th century dramatically demonstrated feline importance in human society. Regions maintaining healthy cat populations suffered significantly less from plague-carrying rats than areas where cat numbers had decreased through superstition and persecution. This stark lesson reinforced practical feline value and helped secure their European societal position. By medieval period's conclusion, cats had become firmly established throughout known territories. They had adapted to climates, ranging from Arctic to tropical regions, integrated into cultures spanning China to Ireland, and evolved from wild predators into beloved companions. Foundations were established for modern human-cat relationships, though many additional coevolution centuries lay ahead. The remarkable journey from fertile crescent grain stores to global distribution represents one of history's most successful biological partnerships. Yet this marked only the beginning. Cats that learned human coexistence 10,000 years ago initiated relationships that would continue evolving and deepening, ultimately producing 600 million house cats, sharing our contemporary world. However, Medieval periods merely set stages for even more dramatic transformations in human-cat relationships. As Renaissance periods approached, something unprecedented began occurring. Cats weren't simply surviving alongside humans anymore, they were becoming integral human culture components in ways that would have seemed unimaginable to those early Fertile Crescent farmers. Envision 16th century Venetian scenes, wealthy merchant families commissioning portraits, including their beloved cats, lounging on silk cushions. These weren't working animals relegated to stables or kitchens. These were pampered companions earning positions in formal family life representations. This transformation proves staggering when considered. Within less than 10,000 years, cats progressed from wild predators to subjects worthy of Renaissance artwork. The exploration age was about to catapult cats into completely novel phases of human relationships. European explorers weren't merely carrying weapons, wealth, and diseases to new territories, they transported cats. These feline passengers were about to encounter environments and challenges unlike anything their species had previously faced. Christopher Columbus himself brought cats on American voyages. These weren't ordinary cats. They were descendants of original Fertile Crescent populations, carrying within their genetics accumulated wisdom from 8,000 years of human partnership. They had been tested by Roman legions, pampered by Egyptian pharaohs, and hardened by Viking sea voyages. Now they faced their ultimate challenge, colonizing entire new continents. Spanish conquistadors quickly discovered cats weren't merely useful for traditional rodent control duties. In Central and South American tropical climates, cats proved invaluable controlling disease-carrying insects and small reptiles posing serious health threats to European settlers. Cats originally evolved hunting Middle Eastern granary mice, were now stalking Mexican jungle iguanas and catching Peruvian mining camp venomous spiders. What makes this expansion remarkable? Unlike gradual European and Asian dispersal requiring millennia, American colonization occurred within mere centuries. Cats required rapid adaptation to completely alien environments spanning Canadian frozen wilderness to Brazilian steamy rainforests. They didn't merely survive, they thrived beyond wildest expectations. Genetic bottlenecks created by rapid expansion had profound consequences. Cats reaching new territories represented tiny fractions of global populations, yet needed establishing viable breeding populations across 2 entire continents. This phenomenon generated what scientists term founder effects, small populations with restricted genetic diversity, successfully colonizing enormous new territories. Archaeological documentation from early American settlements reveals incredible narratives of adaptation and triumph. Spanish missions throughout California demonstrate clear feline presence within decades of establishment. French fur trading outposts in Canada invariably included cats as indispensable personnel. Even harsh conditions of early New England settlements couldn't discourage these remarkable adapters. Indigenous American peoples maintained complex relationships with these newcomer felines. Many Native American cultures possess sophisticated animal behavior, understanding, and quickly recognized practical feline value for protecting food reserves. Yet they also observed something European colonists frequently overlooked. These cats weren't merely working animals, they displayed behaviors and formed relationships, suggesting intelligence and emotional complexity far exceeding simple pest control. Certain tribes incorporated cats into oral traditions, creating narratives recognizing their unique position as animals choosing human coexistence rather than forced domestication. These stories often emphasized feline independence and dignity, these qualities resonating with cultures valuing personal freedom and respecting other species' autonomy. The American South's plantation economy created particularly intriguing dynamics for feline populations. Large-scale agricultural operations required massive grain storage facilities, creating ideal environments for both rodents and their feline hunters. However, plantation cats also needed navigating complex community social hierarchies, learning to interact differently with enslaved workers, overseers, and plantation owners. Historical records from this period reveal cats often formed particularly strong bonds with enslaved communities. People denied basic freedoms themselves seemed to recognize and appreciate feline independent nature. These relationships proved mutually beneficial. Cats provided companionship and pest control, while receiving food and shelter from people understanding what it meant, being undervalued by dominant society. The Industrial Revolution brought another dramatic shift in human-cat relationships. As populations moved from rural agricultural communities to crowded urban centers, cats faced entirely novel challenges and opportunities. City environments were radically different from anything cats had encountered during their 9,000-year human partnership. Urban cats learned navigating busy streets, tall buildings, and dense human populations. They encountered new prey types, from city rats that had grown bold and aggressive to birds adapted for urban life. Traditional granary guardian roles evolved into something more complex as they became general urban pest controllers, managing everything from cockroaches to pigeons. Factory owners quickly discovered cats were essential for protecting stored materials and finished goods from rodent damage. Textile mills, food processing plants, and warehouses all became havens for working cats. These industrial cats developed remarkable abilities, learning to hunt in environments filled with dangerous machinery, toxic chemicals, and constant human activity. The Industrial Revolution also created something entirely novel in human-cat relationship history. For the first time, large numbers of people possessed sufficient leisure time and disposable income to maintain cats purely as companions. The emerging middle class began viewing pet ownership as respectability and refinement indicators, leading to the first true house cat's development. These Victorian-era companion cats lived unprecedented luxury lives. They slept on silk cushions, wore decorative collars, and received medical care that would have seemed unimaginable to working cats just one generation earlier. The contrast proved stark. While factory cats earned their keep through hard work and constant vigilance, parlor cats were being pampered as living decorations for comfortable homes. This feline class divide reflected broader social changes occurring in human society. Just as humans became increasingly stratified by economic class, cats developed their own hierarchy based on relationships with different human community types. Modern pet culture seeds were being planted, though another century would pass before full blooming. Commercial cat breeding development during this period marked another watershed moment in human cat narratives. For the first time since early Egyptian breeding programs, humans actively attempted shaping feline genetics for specific purposes. Unlike Egyptians who bred for practical characteristics like tameness and hunting ability, Victorian breeders focused on creating cats meeting arbitrary aesthetic standards. The Persian cat, with its long flowing coat and flattened face, became the first truly artificial cat breed. These animals required constant human care for survival and represented complete departure from self-sufficient cats that had been humanity's partners for millennia. Persian cat creation marks the beginning of trends ultimately producing hundreds of distinct cat breeds, each more removed from wild ancestors than predecessors. Even as some cats became increasingly dependent on human care, others pushed independence boundaries in opposite directions. North American westward expansion created opportunities for cats, establishing completely feral populations in environments where human presence remained minimal or temporary. Mining camps, logging operations, and frontier settlements often attracted cats during active periods, only to be abandoned when resources were exhausted or operations relocated elsewhere. Cats left behind faced choices their ancestors hadn't encountered in thousands of years. They could attempt following humans to new locations or try surviving independently in the wild. Many abandoned cats chose independence, establishing feral colonies persisting long after human settlements vanished. These populations represented fascinating domestication process reversals. Cats that had lived alongside humans for hundreds of generations were learning survival without human support, gradually losing some domesticated characteristics while retaining others. The Australian continent provided perhaps the most dramatic example of cats adapting to life without intensive human support. European settlers brought cats to Australia beginning in the late 18th century. However, vast distances and harsh outback conditions meant many cat populations became isolated from human settlements. Australian feral cats developed into something unique in the domesticated cat world. They retained hunting skills and independence while losing much human contact tolerance. These cats learned hunting native Australian prey species their ancestors never encountered, from small marsupials to reptiles and birds that evolved without feline predators. Feral cat success in Australia proved so complete, they eventually colonized virtually every continental habitat from tropical rainforests to desert regions. This expansion demonstrated incredible adaptability, cats retained despite thousands of years of domestication. When circumstances required, they could still function as effective wild predators. Meanwhile, in increasingly urbanized European and North American societies, cats became more integrated into human family life than ever before. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed development of first commercial cat foods, veterinary practices specializing in small animals, and cat shows celebrating feline beauty and temperament. These developments reflected fundamental shifts in how humans viewed cats. They were no longer primarily working animals that happened to live with humans. They were becoming family members with individual personalities, preferences, and needs. This transition required humans developing entirely new ways of thinking about relationships with non-human species. The 20th century's two world wars created unexpected chapters in human cat narratives. Rationing and food shortages meant many pet cats had to return to working roots, earning keep through pest control in bombed cities and military installations. Cats proved their worth once again, protecting vital food supplies and providing emotional comfort to people living through unimaginable stress and trauma. Military units on both conflict sides often adopted cats as mascots and companions. These war cats lived in trenches, aboard ships, and in military bases worldwide. They provided psychological benefits military leaders were only beginning to understand, offering soldiers connections to peaceful domestic life they fought to protect. Post-war economic booms created conditions for pet ownership explosions that would have seemed impossible to earlier generations. Suburban housing developments with spacious yards and comfortable interiors were perfect environments for companion cats. Commercial cat litter development in the 1940s removed one of the last practical barriers to keeping cats in modern homes. Television and mass media began shaping popular feline perceptions in ways having lasting effects. Cartoon characters like Tom and Jerry, Sylvester, and Felix the cat created cultural narratives about feline behavior and personality, influencing how entire human generations thought about cats. These media representations often emphasized independence, cleverness, and mischievous nature, reinforcing characteristics developing throughout their long human partnership. The mid-20th century scientific revolution brought new tools for understanding human-cat relationships. Researchers began studying cat behavior, psychology, and biology with unprecedented precision. These investigations unveiled that cats possessed cognitive capabilities, emotional sophistication, and social intelligence that had remained largely unacknowledged by previous generations. Ethologists discovered that felines had developed intricate communication systems specifically designed for human interaction. The meowing behavior so characteristic of domestic cats was revealed to be primarily directed toward humans rather than other felines. Adult cats rarely meowed at each other, yet they learned that humans responded to vocal communication in ways other cats did not. Research into feline genetics began unraveling the intricate history of cat domestication, confirming numerous theories about their fertile crescent origins, while revealing fresh details about their global dispersal. DNA sequencing technology development eventually allowed scientists to trace exact pathways cats followed while colonizing the globe alongside human civilization. The late 20th century environmental movement created fresh challenges for human-cat relationships. As people became more conscious of introduced species' ecological impacts, feral and free-roaming cats came under increasing examination. Hunting abilities that had made cats so valuable to humans for millennia were now perceived as potentially problematic when directed at native wildlife populations. This tension between traditional feline hunter roles and modern conservation concerns created complex ethical and practical dilemmas, continuing to influence contemporary human-cat relationships. Communities worldwide began addressing questions about managing cat populations in ways respecting both feline welfare and ecosystem health. The digital age brought another transformation to human-cat relationships. The internet proved the perfect medium for sharing feline content, creating global cat appreciation culture transcending national and cultural boundaries. Cats became some of the first authentic internet celebrities, with individual animals achieving fame impossible in any previous era. This digital cat culture represented something unprecedented in human-animal relationship history. For the first time, cats were being celebrated not for practical utility or even companion roles, but simply for being cats. Their independence, unpredictability, and apparent indifference to human expectations made them perfect subjects for a medium valuing authenticity and spontaneity. The modern world presents cats with challenges and opportunities that would be unrecognizable to their ancient ancestors. Urban environments offer abundant food sources and shelter, yet also pose dangers from traffic, pollution, and high population densities. Veterinary medicine has advanced to where cats routinely live well into their teens, far longer than would have been possible in wild or earlier domestic settings. Through all these changes, cats retained essential characteristics that made them successful human partners initially. They remain independent enough to function without constant human supervision, adaptable enough to thrive in diverse environments, and social enough to form meaningful bonds with their human families. The narrative that began 10,000 years ago in fertile crescent grain stores continues evolving today. Every cat curled on a sunny windowsill, every feral colony surviving in urban alleys, every internet video of kittens playing with toys carries within it genetic and behavioral legacy of that initial meeting between human farmer and wild hunter. Looking toward the future, human-cat relationships face novel challenges and possibilities. Climate change, urbanization, and technological advancement are creating environments neither species has encountered before. However, if the past 10,000 years have taught us anything, it's that human-cat partnerships are remarkably resilient and adaptable. Tomorrow's cats may face challenges we can't yet imagine, but they'll meet those challenges with identical combinations of independence, intelligence, and adaptability that allowed their ancestors transforming from wild predators into beloved companions. They'll accomplish this alongside humans, just as they have for the past 100 centuries of our shared historical journey. Human-cat relationships are about to enter their most revolutionary phase yet. As we advance deeper into the 21st century, something extraordinary began happening that would have baffled those ancient fertile crescent farmers. Cats weren't merely living with humans anymore. They were becoming digital superstars, cultural icons, and subjects of scientific research, revealing mind-blowing truths about their intelligence and emotional lives. Before diving into the modern cat revolution, let's discuss something that occurred in the mid-20th century that completely transformed everything. Scientists developed DNA sequencing technology. When they directed this powerful tool toward understanding cats, their discoveries proved absolutely staggering. Remember how we discussed all domestic cats, tracing ancestry back to that singular Near Eastern wildcat population? The genetic evidence was even more specific. Every single house cat on Earth, from pampered Beverly Hills Persians to Tokyo street cats, carries genetic markers traceable to just 5 female wildcats who lived in the Fertile Crescent around 9,000 years ago. Consider that momentarily. 5 female cats. That's everything. These 5 individuals became founding mothers of what would eventually become a global population exceeding 600 million domestic cats. It's one of animal domestication, history's most dramatic genetic bottlenecks. Yet somehow it functioned perfectly. Here's where the narrative becomes even more incredible. Those 5 founding mothers weren't merely random wild cats who happened to get fortunate. Genetic analysis reveals they possessed unique trait combinations, making them perfectly suited for human coexistence. They had appropriate temperaments, correct hunting instincts, and most importantly, proper social flexibility to thrive in human settlements. DNA evidence also revealed something completely revolutionizing our domestication: understanding. Scientists discovered cats underwent what's termed relaxed selection pressure during early domestication. Unlike dogs, which were actively bred for specific tasks, and underwent intense selective pressure, dramatically changing appearance and behavior, cats were essentially allowed remaining wild while living alongside humans. This explains why your house cat can still survive perfectly well in wilderness, if necessary. While most domestic dogs would struggle lasting a week without human care, Cats never lost essential wild skills because humans never attempted breeding those skills away. We simply provided environments where cats could utilize those skills more effectively. The modern era brought an explosion of scientific research into feline behavior and psychology, revealing cats as far more complex creatures than anyone previously imagined. Studies using advanced brain imaging technology demonstrated cats possess sophisticated cognitive abilities, including self-awareness, complex memory systems, and abilities to understand cause and effect relationships. One of the most groundbreaking discoveries was that cats actually possess theory of mind. They understand that humans maintain different perspectives, knowledge, and intentions than they do. This represents incredibly advanced cognitive ability, once thought unique to humans and few other highly intelligent species like dolphins and great apes. Researchers began documenting behaviors, demonstrating just how well cats understood their human companions. Cats were observed deliberately manipulating human behavior through strategic use of vocalizations, facial expressions, and body language. They learned timing their demands for food, attention, and area access based on understanding human schedules and preferences. The famous slow blink behavior cat owners had observed for centuries was finally understood by science. When cats look at humans and slowly close and open their eyes, they're actually sending deliberate social signals, researchers dubbed cat kisses. This behavior is specifically directed at humans and represents communication forms cats developed exclusively for interacting with our species. Perhaps the most remarkable discovery was that cats had essentially trained humans just as much as we had trained them. The meowing, purring, and attention-seeking behaviors we found so endearing were actually sophisticated manipulation techniques. Cats had evolved to exploit our parental instincts and emotional responses. Cats discovered that humans responded more positively to sounds and behaviors, reminding us of human infants. Cat purr frequencies fall within identical ranges as crying babies, triggering automatic nurturing responses in human brains. Adult cat facial structures, with large eyes and rounded features, deliberately mimic human infant characteristics we are evolutionarily programmed to find irresistible. This wasn't accidental. Over thousands of years living with humans, cats underwent selection pressure to become more effective at manipulating human behavior. Cats best at getting humans to provide food, shelter, and care were those that survived and reproduced. Natural selection essentially created a species of professional human manipulators. The late 20th and early 21st century digital revolution created entirely new chapters in human-cat relationships. The internet, as it emerged, was practically engineered for felines. Their unpredictable behavior, photogenic qualities, and seemingly limitless capacity for entertaining situations made them ideal content creators for the digital era. The inaugural viral cat video featuring a keyboard-playing feline demonstrated something that would become a fundamental internet culture truth. Cats didn't require performing anything particularly spectacular to capture human attention. They simply needed to be authentic. Their natural behaviors, which evolved over millions of years for hunting and survival, translated perfectly into entertainment for humans equipped with smartphones and high-speed internet connections. Social media platforms discovered that feline content generated engagement rates far surpassing almost any other material type. Videos of cats playing, sleeping, or simply existing could generate millions of views and create emotional connections between viewers and animals they had never encountered. This phenomenon revealed something profound about human-cat bonds developing for 10,000 years. Digital cat culture's economic impact became genuinely substantial. Individual cats began earning considerable incomes through sponsorships, merchandise sales, and appearance fees. Grumpy Cat, a feline with distinctive facial expressions caused by dwarfism, became a multimedia empire worth millions of dollars. The irony proved perfect. A species originally earning its human society place through practical pest control was now generating wealth through pure entertainment value. However, the digital cat revolution also revealed concerning trends. As cats became increasingly viewed as content creators and entertainment objects, some people began losing sight of their needs as living animals. Pressure to create shareable content led to situations where cat welfare was sometimes compromised for viral video's sake. Veterinary medicine advanced dramatically during this period, with cats benefiting from medical technologies that would have seemed like science fiction just decades earlier. magnetic resonance imaging, laser surgery, and sophisticated pharmaceutical treatments became routine feline healthcare components. Cats began living longer, healthier lives than ever before in their species' history. Specialized cat behaviorists and feline psychology development became legitimate professional fields. These experts helped humans understand that many behaviors traditionally viewed as problematic were actually normal expressions of feline instincts, requiring appropriate outlets rather than suppression. Urban planning began incorporating cat-friendly design elements, as cities recognized that feral and semi-feral cat populations were permanent urban ecosystem features. Rather than attempting to eliminate these populations, progressive cities began implementing trap-neuter-return programs that managed cat numbers while respecting their urban environmental roles. Modern communications' global nature created something unprecedented in human-animal relationship history, a worldwide community of cat enthusiasts who could share knowledge, experiences, and resources across cultural and geographic boundaries. Cat rescue organizations began coordinating international efforts to help cats in crisis situations, from natural disasters to war zones. Scientific research into human-cat bonds revealed measurable health benefits for both species. Studies demonstrated that cat ownership reduced human stress hormones, lowered blood pressure, and provided psychological benefits, particularly pronounced for elderly and socially isolated individuals. Purring vibrations that cats produced were found to have therapeutic effects on human bone density and healing processes. Cats, meanwhile, showed evidence of benefiting from human companionship in ways transcending simple food and shelter provision. Research indicated that cats living with attentive human companions developed more complex behavioral repertoires, lived longer lives, and showed reduced stress indicators compared to feral populations. Domestic cats' environmental impact became a subject of intense scientific study and public debate. Research revealed that free-roaming cats were responsible for significant mortality among bird and small mammal populations, leading to complex discussions about balancing cat welfare with wildlife conservation. These conversations reflected broader evolution in human thinking about relationships with other species. The same environmental consciousness raising concerns about cat predation also led to greater appreciation for ecological roles. Cats played in controlling rodent populations and their historical importance in protecting human food supplies. Climate change began affecting cat populations in ways echoing environmental pressures their ancestors faced during previous global transition periods. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and shifting ecosystems created novel challenges for both domestic and feral cat populations worldwide. Some regions witnessed cat populations expanding into previously unsuitable habitats, as warming temperatures made these areas more hospitable. Other areas experienced population declines as traditional prey species moved to different elevations or latitudes responding to changing conditions. The resilience and adaptability that allowed cats colonizing the globe alongside human civilization were once again being tested. Early evidence suggested cats were responding to climate change with identical flexibility, characterizing their species throughout history, adjusting behavior, habitat preferences, and social structures to meet novel environmental challenges. Genetic engineering and biotechnology began offering possibilities for addressing challenges facing modern cat populations. Researchers developed non-surgical sterilization techniques that could help manage feral populations more humanely. Gene therapy showed promise for treating hereditary diseases affecting specific cat breeds. These technologies' ethical implications sparked debates about how far humans should go in modifying species that chose sharing their lives with us 10,000 years ago. Some argued we had responsibility using every available tool to improve cat welfare and reduce environmental impact. Others contended excessive technological intervention risked fundamentally altering the independent nature that made cats such successful partners initially. Space exploration even began incorporating cats into long-term planning for human expansion beyond Earth. Scientists studying isolated human community psychology recognized that companion animals would likely be essential for maintaining mental health during long-duration space missions and permanent settlements on other planets. The idea of cats accompanying humans to Mars or other worlds represented the ultimate extension of partnerships, beginning in ancient Mesopotamian grain stores. These theoretical space cats would face challenges no feline had ever encountered, from artificial gravity to completely enclosed environments. Yet their fundamental role would remain unchanged, providing companionship, comfort, and connections to natural worlds humans had left behind. Modern cats had become something those first wildcats stalking through Neolithic settlements could never have imagined. A global species with their own industries, cultural movements, and scientific disciplines dedicated to understanding their needs and behaviors. The journey from those 5 founding mothers in the Fertile Crescent to today's 600 million domestic cats represents one of evolution's most remarkable success stories. Through agricultural revolutions, imperial expansions, industrial transformations, and digital revolutions, cats maintained their essential character while adapting to each new challenge humanity presented. They succeeded not by becoming more dependent on humans, but by becoming better at being cats. Their independence, intelligence, and adaptability, the same traits that allowed their ancestors to thrive in ancient grain stores, would continue serving them well in contemporary apartments, suburban homes, and urban alleyways. As we advance into an uncertain future filled with technological advancement, environmental challenges, and social transformation, cats will undoubtedly face new tests of their remarkable adaptability. However, if their 10,000-year partnership with humanity has demonstrated anything, it's that cats possess extraordinary capacity for meeting challenges while remaining authentically feline. The next chapter of this ancient relationship remains unwritten, but one thing seems certain: wherever humans go, whatever we become, cats will likely find ways to accompany us, not as servants or purely dependent pets, but as independent partners who chose long ago that life alongside humans offered opportunities worth pursuing. Their story continues evolving, one purr, one slow blink, and one shared moment of companionship at a time. Yet beneath all technological sophistication and cultural complexity, the fundamental relationship remained remarkably similar to what had developed 10,000 years earlier. Cats still provided humans with companionship, stress relief, and connections to the natural world. Humans still provided cats with food, shelter, and security. The essential bargain struck between farmer and hunter in the ancient Fertile Crescent continued benefiting both species, even as specific terms of that agreement evolved with changing circumstances. The cat domestication narrative revealed something profound about successful interspecies relationship nature. The most enduring partnerships weren't built on domination or control, but on mutual respect and shared benefits. Cats thrived alongside humans, not because they surrendered independence, but because they found ways maintaining their essential nature while adapting to changing circumstances. As we advanced deeper into the 21st century, fresh challenges and opportunities continued emerging. Artificial intelligence began being utilized to better understand cat behavior and needs. Smart home technologies started incorporating cat-friendly features. Virtual reality applications allowed people experiencing the world from feline perspectives, fostering greater empathy and understanding. Human-cat relationships have become models for how different species could coexist and thrive together, while maintaining distinct identities and characteristics. It demonstrated that successful domestication didn't require complete wild instinct subjugation, but rather creating environments where those instincts could be expressed in ways benefiting both species. The genetic legacy of those 5 founding mothers continued spreading throughout the world, carried by cats who are simultaneously wild predators and beloved family members, independent hunters and dependent companions, ancient survivors and modern innovators. They had accomplished something extraordinary, remaining essentially unchanged while adapting to every environment humans created. From Neolithic villages to space stations, the future of human-cat relationships seemed as bright and unpredictable as the cats themselves. Fresh discoveries about feline intelligence, behavior, and needs continued emerging from research laboratories worldwide. Conservation efforts sought balancing domestic cat welfare with native wildlife protection. Technological innovations promised novel ways to enhance both species' lives. Yet through all changes and advances, the relationship core remained beautifully simple. A cat curled in a sunny spot, a human's hand gently stroking soft fur, the quiet rumble of purring filling space between 2 very different species, who somehow learned to understand and care for each other across vast gulfs separating their evolutionary paths. The journey beginning with desperate farmers and opportunistic wildcats in ancient Mesopotamian grain stores had become one of Earth's most successful biological partnerships. It was a testament to cooperation's power, mutual respect's importance, and different species' endless capacity to find common ground in an ever-changing world. Perhaps the most extraordinary development in modern cat culture was something that would have seemed impossible to those ancient Middle Eastern farmers who first welcomed wild cats into their settlements. Cats weren't just adapting to human technology anymore. They were beginning to influence how that technology was designed and implemented. Smart home developers discovered that homes with cats required fundamentally different approaches to automation and connectivity. Motion sensors had to be calibrated, distinguishing between human and feline movement patterns. Automated feeding systems needed accounting for complex social hierarchies emerging when multiple cats shared living spaces. Even automated vacuum cleaners required sophisticated programming to navigate around sleeping cats who refused moving for mere machines. Data generated by these smart home systems began revealing feline behavior patterns invisible to previous cat owner generations. Researchers gained access to precise information about when cats were most active, how they moved through domestic spaces, and how their behavior changed responding to various environmental factors. This behavioral data treasure trove was revolutionizing our understanding of how cats actually experienced modern life. What emerged from this research was a picture of cats as remarkably sophisticated decision-makers, constantly evaluating and responding to environments in ways maximizing comfort, security, and resource access. Far from being simple creatures driven by basic instincts, cats were revealed as strategic thinkers who planned activities, remembered complex spatial relationships, and adjusted behavior based on past experiences. These discoveries' implications extended far beyond academic curiosity. Veterinary behaviorists began developing treatment protocols based on understanding that many feline behavioral problems stem not from defiance or stubbornness, but from environments failing to accommodate their sophisticated cognitive and emotional needs. Architecture and interior design began incorporating what became known as feline environmental enrichment principles. Buildings designed with cats in mind included vertical pathways, allowing cats to navigate three-dimensional spaces, naturally quiet retreat areas where they could observe surroundings without disturbance, and surfaces and textures accommodating their need to scratch and mark territory. Urban planning implications proved even more dramatic. Cities began recognizing their feral and semi-feral cat populations weren't simply problems to be managed, but integral urban ecosystem components requiring thoughtful integration into city infrastructure. Green roofs, wildlife corridors, and pocket parks began incorporating features specifically designed supporting urban cat populations, while minimizing conflicts with other wildlife. This thinking shift represented fundamental change in how humans conceptualize relationships with cats. Instead of viewing cats as animals needing adaptation to human-designed environments, designers and planners began creating spaces, acknowledging and accommodating both species' legitimate needs. This cat-conscious design philosophy's economic impact became substantial. The pet industry, already grown into a multi-billion-dollar global market, expanded, including specialized services and products previous generations couldn't have imagined. Professional cat behaviorists, feline environmental consultants, and specialized cat architects became legitimate career paths. However, the most significant economic development was the emergence of what economists dubbed the feline care economy. This sector included not just traditional pet-related businesses, but also services like cat sitting, feline massage therapy, specialized cat transportation, and even cat meditation and yoga studios. The psychological and therapeutic benefits of cat companionship became so well documented that healthcare systems began incorporating feline-assisted therapy into treatment protocols for various conditions, ranging from autism to post-traumatic stress disorder. Therapy cats began working in hospitals, schools, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, providing comfort and healing that traditional medicine alone couldn't achieve. Research into the human-cat bond revealed neurochemical changes occurring in both species during positive interactions. The release of oxytocin, dopamine, and other beneficial hormones during cat-human bonding sessions was found to have lasting positive effects on both mental and physical health. These discoveries led to the development of precision companion animal matching, sophisticated systems that paired humans with cats based on personality compatibility, lifestyle factors, and specific therapeutic needs. What had once been a matter of chance or simple preference became a science-based approach to optimizing human-cat relationships. The global nature of modern cat culture created unprecedented opportunities for international cooperation and knowledge sharing. Cat behaviorists in Tokyo could collaborate in real time with veterinarians in London and rescue organizations in Sao Paulo. This global network accelerated advances in feline welfare and deepened understanding of cultural variations in human-cat relationships. Climate change adaptation became a major focus of cat-related research and policy development. Scientists studied how rising temperatures, changing weather patterns, and shifting ecosystems affected both domestic and feral cat populations. This research informed the development of climate-resilient cat habitat design and disaster preparedness protocols for pet evacuations. The space exploration applications of human-cat relationships moved from theoretical to practical as serious plans for long-term space missions and planetary colonization advanced. Scientists began studying how cats might adapt to low-gravity environments and what role they could play in maintaining psychological health during extended space travel. Mock space habitats included specially designed cat areas with magnetic surfaces, three-dimensional climbing structures adapted for reduced gravity, and systems for managing waste and feeding in enclosed environments. The idea that cats might be among the first Earth animals to set paw on other worlds seemed increasingly plausible. As we look toward the future, the 10,000-year partnership between humans and cats continues evolving in ways that honor both species' essential nature while embracing new possibilities. The cats of tomorrow may face challenges their ancestors never imagined, but they'll meet those challenges with the same independence, intelligence, and adaptability that allowed their species to transform from Middle Eastern wildcats into global companions. The story that began in ancient grain stores continues writing itself in smart homes, research laboratories, space programs, and countless quiet moments between humans and their feline partners around the world. Specialized transportation, emergency veterinary care, and even feline-focused real estate services, helping people locate housing suitable for their cat companions, emerged as significant economic sectors. The globalization of feline culture created fascinating exchanges between different regional cat-keeping traditions. Japanese concepts like neko cafes dispersed throughout the world, introducing millions to therapeutic benefits of casual interaction with friendly felines. Scandinavian approaches to indoor-outdoor cat management influenced housing design in completely different climates. Ancient Egyptian reverence for cats found fresh expression in modern art and cultural movements. These cultural exchanges revealed that while specific details of human-cat relationships varied dramatically between cultures, fundamental emotional and psychological bonds remained remarkably consistent. Whether in traditional Japanese homes, Scandinavian apartments, or North American suburban houses, cats occupied similar roles as sources of comfort, companionship, and connections to the natural world. A scientific study of these cross-cultural similarities led to breakthrough discoveries about neurological basis of human-cat bonding. Brain imaging studies revealed that interactions with cats activated identical neural pathways in humans involved in parent-child bonding, romantic attachment, and close friendship. The relationship wasn't merely emotional or cultural, this was literally hardwired into human neurology. Cats, for their part, showed corresponding neurological responses to human interaction. Their brains released oxytocin and other bonding hormones when interacting with familiar humans, and they demonstrated stress responses when separated from human companions for extended periods. The bond was genuinely mutual, involving measurable physiological and psychological changes in both species. This scientific validation of human-cat emotional connections had profound implications for how society viewed and treated cats. Animal welfare legislation began incorporating provisions recognizing cats' psychological needs, not just basic physical requirements. Courts began considering emotional bonds between humans and cats when making decisions about custody, housing, and other legal matters affecting these relationships. Therapeutic applications of human-cat bonding expanded dramatically as medical professionals recognized measurable health benefits these relationships provided. Hospitals began incorporating therapy cat programs alongside traditional therapy dog initiatives. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities discovered that resident cats provided unique benefits for elderly individuals, particularly those dealing with depression, anxiety, or cognitive decline. These therapeutic programs' success led to development of specialized training protocols for cats working in medical and social service environments. Unlike dogs, which could be trained performing specific tasks on command, cats required different approaches working with their natural behaviors and preferences rather than against them. These therapeutic cats weren't performing tricks or following complex commands. Instead, they were simply being cats in environments where their natural behaviors had profound positive effects on human well-being. A cat's tendency seeking warm, comfortable spots led them naturally to people needing comfort. Their purring provided measurable stress relief. Their independent nature offered companionship without demanding expectations. Some people found overwhelming in other relationships. Feline-assisted therapy development represented a full-circle moment in human-cat relationships. Cats, originally earning their place in human society through practical pest control, were now providing sophisticated psychological and medical services requiring no training beyond natural inclinations to seek comfort and provide companionship. Educational institutions began incorporating cats into their programs in unprecedented ways. Universities studying animal behavior, psychology, and human-animal interactions established campus cat colonies, serving both as research subjects and stress relief resources for students. Elementary schools discovered that classroom cats helped children develop empathy, responsibility, and emotional regulation skills. Cat presence in educational environments created unique learning opportunities that couldn't be replicated with textbooks or digital media. Students learned observing and interpreting nonverbal communication, respecting autonomy and preferences of other living beings, and understanding complex relationships between different species sharing identical environments. These educational programs also revealed remarkable insights about how cats adapted to institutional environments. School cats developed sophisticated understanding of daily schedules, learning to seek quiet spaces during busy periods, and emerging for interaction when students and staff were available. They demonstrated remarkable social intelligence, navigating complex hierarchies and territorial disputes, emerging in environments with multiple humans and cats. Research emerging from these educational partnerships contributed to growing knowledge about feline social cognition, challenging many long-held assumptions about cat behavior. Cats were revealed as far more socially aware and responsive than traditional stereotypes suggested, capable of forming complex relationships, not just with individual humans, but with entire human communities. As space exploration advanced, the question of cats in extraterrestrial environments moved from science fiction speculation to serious scientific consideration. Researchers studying psychological requirements for long-term space habitation recognized that companion animals would likely be essential for maintaining crew mental health during multi-year missions to Mars and beyond. The unique characteristics making cats successful human partners throughout history, their independence, low maintenance care requirements, ability to provide companionship without being overly demanding, made them particularly well suited for spacecraft environment constraints. Unlike dogs requiring regular outdoor exercise with higher space and resource requirements, cats could theoretically adapt to enclosed space habitat environments. Preliminary research into feline adaptation to microgravity environments showed promising results. Cats demonstrated remarkable ability adjusting to three-dimensional movement patterns, using their natural climbing and jumping skills to navigate weightless environments more effectively than many other terrestrial animals. Space habitat designers began incorporating specialized feline areas into long-term mission planning. These included magnetic surfaces allowing cats to anchor themselves during rest periods, three-dimensional climbing structures adapted for zero gravity, and waste management systems designed for feline use in enclosed environments. The psychological benefits cats could provide during extended space missions were considered invaluable. Their purring could provide stress relief and emotional comfort during challenging periods. Their independent nature meant they wouldn't compete with mission-critical activities for crew attention. Their presence would maintain connections to Earth and natural world that could be crucial for maintaining mental health during years-long journeys. Advanced breeding programs began developing cats specifically adapted for space environments. These programs focused on selecting for traits like enhanced spatial awareness, reduced anxiety in confined spaces, and improved adaptation to artificial lighting and atmospheric conditions. The ethical implications of taking cats to space sparked intense debates within scientific communities. Some argued that subjecting cats to space travel risks was unfair to animals that had no choice in the matter. Others contended that cats had always been explorers and adapters, and that excluding them from humanity's greatest adventure would be contrary to their nature as partners in human expansion. International space agencies began developing protocols for feline space travel, including specialized life support systems, medical care procedures, and behavioral management techniques adapted for spacecraft environments. These protocols drew heavily on the 10,000 years of accumulated knowledge about human-cat relationships, while addressing completely novel challenges of interplanetary travel. The possibility of cats becoming Earth's first interplanetary ambassadors represented the ultimate extension of their evolutionary partnership with humans. From Middle Eastern wildcats stalking ancient granaries to potential Mars colonists, their journey alongside humanity continued reaching toward literally astronomical possibilities. Training programs for space cats began incorporating exposure to simulated space conditions, including enclosed environments, altered gravity, and artificial atmospheric systems. Early results suggested that cats adapted to these conditions more readily than many researchers had expected, demonstrating once again the remarkable flexibility that had characterized their species throughout their long partnership with humans. As humanity prepared for its next great expansion into the cosmos, cats stood ready to continue their role as companions, stress relievers, and reminders of the natural world humans would leave behind. Their story, beginning in fertile crescent grain stores, was preparing to continue among the stars' Mars, a testament to the enduring power of the ancient partnership between two very different species who had learned to trust and care for each other across the vast expanses of time and space. Initial investigations commenced examining how felines might adjust to diminished gravitational forces, synthetic illumination patterns, and psychological pressures of complete terrestrial isolation. The findings indicated that cats' extraordinary adaptability and stress tolerance would likely benefit them in extraterrestrial conditions, although substantial obstacles would require resolution. The concept of felines accompanying humans to distant worlds represented the ultimate manifestation of an alliance that had already transported both species across every landmass and climate region on our planet. These hypothetical cosmic cats would confront difficulties no feline had previously experienced. Nevertheless, their core function would stay constant, delivering the companionship and natural life connections humans needed for mental wellness. Genetic investigations that had unveiled extensive information about feline domestication started indicating future prospects that would have been inconceivable mere decades prior. Cutting-edge gene therapy methods demonstrated potential for eradicating inherited disorders affecting particular cat breeds, possibly enabling felines to enjoy extended, healthier existences. More controversially, genetic modification approaches presented opportunities for amplifying specific feline traits, or even developing completely novel varieties suited for particular environments or functions. The moral consequences of these possibilities ignited heated discussions within scientific circles and among cat lovers regarding how extensively human interference in feline genetics should be permitted to advance. Some maintained that humans held ethical responsibilities to employ every accessible technology for improving cat well-being and minimizing their ecological footprint. Others argued that the autonomous, unaltered essence of cats was exactly what had rendered them such effective partners, and that excessive genetic manipulation threatened to fundamentally transform the qualities that had initially attracted humans to cats. Environmental obstacles confronting cats in contemporary society continued developing as climate transformation accelerated and human populations expanded into previously untouched regions. Certain areas witnessed dramatic surges in cat populations as rising temperatures rendered previously uninhabitable zones suitable for feline occupation. Alternative locations experienced population reductions as conventional prey species migrated to different altitudes or latitudes. Conservation scientists started creating advanced models to forecast how these environmental transformations would impact both domestic and feral cat communities throughout upcoming decades. The outcomes suggested that cats' remarkable adaptability would probably enable them to accommodate many of these changes, though some populations might encounter significant difficulties requiring human assistance. The connection between cats and wildlife preservation remained intricate and occasionally disputed, yet innovative approaches were developing that aimed to balance both cat welfare and native species protection. Advanced monitoring technologies permitted researchers to examine actual hunting behaviors of free-roaming cats with unprecedented accuracy, uncovering patterns frequently different from assumptions based on restricted observational investigations. These comprehensive behavioral analyses led to more sophisticated understanding of how cat predation influenced various ecosystems and species, enabling more focused and efficient conservation strategies protecting vulnerable wildlife without demanding complete cat population elimination. The digital transformation continued revolutionizing human-cat relationships through increasingly advanced methods. Artificial intelligence systems started learning to decode cat vocalizations, facial expressions, and body language with exceptional precision, potentially creating new communication channels between species that had been partners for 10,000 years, yet never truly conversed with each other. Mobile applications enabled cat owners monitoring their pets' health, behavior, and emotional conditions with unprecedented detail. Wearable devices designed exclusively for cats delivered real-time information about activity levels, sleep cycles, and physiological indicators that could warn owners about potential health issues before they became severe. Information gathered by these devices contributed to extensive research initiatives revealing fresh insights about cat health, behavior, and welfare across different populations and environments. For history's first time, researchers possessed access to comprehensive information about thousands of cats' daily lives living in diverse circumstances globally. This abundant data enabled developing personalized care methods, considering individual cats' unique characteristics, preferences, and requirements. Rather than implementing universal cat care approaches, veterinarians and behaviorists could create specific recommendations based on detailed knowledge of each individual animal. Cats' cultural influence continued expanding through digital media, though the phenomenon evolved beyond simple entertainment toward more sophisticated artistic and cultural expression forms. Cat-focused content creators developed complex narratives exploring independence, companionship, and civilization-nature relationship themes through feline experience perspectives. These digital cat narratives frequently reflected broader cultural concerns and aspirations, utilizing cats as symbols for various modern life aspects humans found both attractive and challenging. The independence cats represented became methods for people to examine autonomy, authenticity, and social connection, personal freedom balance questions. Museums and cultural institutions started recognizing cats as legitimate subjects for serious artistic and historical investigation. Exhibitions exploring cats' roles in human civilization attracted massive audiences and generated scholarly research, contributing to understanding how human-animal relationships shaped cultural development throughout history. Academic study of human-cat relationships evolved into legitimate interdisciplinary fields, drawing insights from anthropology, psychology, biology, history, and other disciplines. Universities started offering specialized courses and degree programs focused on human-animal interactions, with cats frequently serving as primary case studies due to their unique domestication, history, and contemporary cultural importance. This scholarly attention produced increasingly sophisticated understanding of how human-cat relationships influence both species development over millennia. Cats weren't merely passive recipients of human domestication efforts, they had been active participants shaping the relationship, influencing human behavior, culture, and even genetics in ways only beginning to be comprehended. Cat domestication narratives became lenses through which researchers could examine broader cooperation, coevolution, and mutual partnership questions, while maintaining distinct identities and characteristics between different species. Quantum computing applications began being explored for modeling complex cat population dynamics and predicting long-term evolutionary trends. These computational models suggested that cats might continue evolving in response to human environments, potentially developing new characteristics optimized for urban living, space habitation, or other future scenarios. Biotechnology advances enabled creation of synthetic cat foods perfectly tailored to individual felines' nutritional needs based on genetic analysis and health monitoring data. These personalized nutrition approaches promise to extend cat lifespans and improve quality of life while reducing environmental impacts of traditional pet food production. Robotic companions designed to interact with cats when humans were absent began appearing in homes, providing social stimulation and environmental enrichment through artificial intelligence, programmed to understand and respond to feline behavioral cues. Virtual reality environments allowed cats to experience simulated outdoor environments safely while remaining indoors, addressing the tension between feline enrichment needs and wildlife conservation concerns. These digital environments could be customized to individual cats' preferences and hunting instincts. Genetic preservation programs began establishing comprehensive databases of cat genetic diversity, ensuring that future breeding programs could maintain healthy populations while avoiding the genetic bottlenecks that had occasionally affected certain breeds. As humanity prepared for potential multiplanetary existence, cats stood poised to continue their ancient role as companions and stress relievers in environments no terrestrial species had ever experienced. Their journey from Middle Eastern wildcats to potential cosmic travelers represented one of evolution's most remarkable success stories, a testament to the power of adaptation, partnership, and mutual benefit between species separated by millions of years of evolutionary divergence. The cats of tomorrow would carry within their genes and behaviors the accumulated wisdom of 10,000 years of human partnership, ready to face whatever challenges and opportunities the future might present. Their story continued unfolding, one purr, one gentle head bump, and one moment of cross-species understanding at a time, proving that the bonds forged in ancient granaries remained as strong and relevant in the space age as they had been in humanity's earliest agricultural settlements. From cosmic exploration to genetic engineering to artificial intelligence applications, cats would confront these obstacles with identical combinations of autonomy, flexibility, and selective collaboration that enabled their species to flourish alongside humans for 10 millennia. The essential agreement established between human and feline in fertile ancient Mesopotamian territories continued benefiting both species even as specific conditions of that arrangement developed with each successive generation. It remained among Earth's most successful interspecies alliances, evidence of mutual respect, strength, shared advantages, and endless capacity of different life forms to discover common ground in a perpetually transforming world. The conversion of cats from working animals to cherished family members was about to intensify in ways that would have astounded those ancient Egyptian cat devotees. As we advanced into the contemporary period, something extraordinary commenced happening that fundamentally altered how humans perceived their feline companions. We weren't merely sharing our residences with cats anymore. We were restructuring our entire existences around them. Envision entering a pet store in 1950 versus entering one presently. Previously, you might discover some basic cat food, a few simple toys, and perhaps a collar or two. Fast forward to today, and you'll encounter entire aisles devoted to cat furniture, specialized diets for every conceivable health condition, interactive, electronic toys that would have appeared like alien technology just decades ago, and products designed to address behavioral and psychological needs that previous generations never even knew cats possessed. This explosion in cat-focused products reflected a deeper shift in human understanding of what cats actually required to flourish. Our research into feline psychology and behavior was revealing that cats weren't the simple, low-maintenance creatures people had assumed them to be for centuries. They were complex individuals with sophisticated emotional and social needs, requiring just as much attention as their physical requirements. The development of cat behaviorists as legitimate professions marked a watershed moment in human-cat relationships. For history's first time, humans were hiring specialists specifically to help them understand and communicate with their cats. These experts were discovering that many behaviors humans found problematic or mysterious actually made perfect sense when viewed from feline perspectives. Cats weren't being spiteful when they knocked objects off tables. They were engaging in natural hunting behaviors and testing their environment's stability. They weren't ignoring their owners out of stubbornness. They were responding to subtle social cues and environmental factors humans were completely unaware of. Every seemingly random cat behavior had underlying logic that could be understood and worked with rather than against. This growing understanding of cat psychology coincided with dramatic changes in human lifestyles that created new opportunities for deeper human-cat bonding. As more people began working from home, spending longer hours in their living spaces, and living alone in urban environments, cats became not just pets, but essential companions, providing emotional support and social connection. The rise of single-person households, particularly in developed countries, created demographics perfectly suited for cat companionship. Unlike dogs, which often required intensive daily care, difficult for busy professionals to provide, cats offered perfect balances of companionship and independence, matching modern lifestyles. However, something even more profound was happening beneath these practical considerations' surface. Humans were beginning to recognize that their relationships with cats involved genuine emotional bonds every bit as meaningful as relationships with other humans. The dismissive attitude once characterizing pet ownership discussions was giving way to recognition that these were legitimate, important relationships contributing significantly to human well-being. Scientific research was providing concrete evidence for what cat owners had always known intuitively. Studies using advanced brain imaging technology revealed that humans interacting with their cats showed identical neural activity patterns associated with parental bonding, romantic love, and deep friendship. The attachment wasn't just emotional sentiment, it was measurable neurological reality. Cats, meanwhile, were demonstrating their own capacity for complex emotional attachment to humans. Long-term studies of cat behavior revealed that cats form distinct relationships with different family members, remember individual humans for years after separation, and show genuine distress when separated from their preferred companions. Evidence was mounting that cats possessed what psychologists called secure attachment patterns with their human families. They used their humans as safe bases from which to explore environments, sought comfort from specific individuals during stressful times, and showed joy and excitement when reunited after separation periods. These were identical attachment patterns characterizing healthy human relationships. This scientific validation of human-cat emotional bonds had profound implications for how society viewed and treated these relationships. Legal systems began recognizing emotional trauma that could result from beloved cat loss, with some jurisdictions allowing people to take bereavement leave for pet loss, and courts considering emotional bonds between humans and cats when making custody decisions. Workplaces began adapting to accommodate important roles cats played in their humans' lives. Companies started allowing employees time off for veterinary emergencies. Some offices began welcoming well-behaved cats as workplace companions, and employee assistance programs expanded to include support for pet-related grief and stress. Perhaps the most significant development was the emergence of what sociologists dubbed pet parenting culture. Humans weren't just owning cats anymore. They were parenting them with all the emotional investment, financial commitment, and lifestyle changes parenting implied. Cat parents were making major life decisions based on their cat's needs, from choosing housing to planning vacations to making career choices. This shift in terminology from pet owner to pet to parent reflected fundamental changes in how humans conceptualize their relationships with cats. Parents had responsibilities, emotional bonds, and long-term commitments extending far beyond practical arrangements implied by ownership. The language change signaled deeper transformation in human-cat relationships, building for decades. These cultural shifts' economic implications were staggering. The global pet industry had grown into a massive economic sector worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually, with cats representing significant and rapidly growing segments. Premium cat foods formulated by veterinary nutritionists commanded prices that would have seemed absurd to previous generations. Cat furniture designed by professional architects and interior designers became common household fixtures. Luxury cat spas, daycare centers, and even cat hotels catering to traveling pet parents became thriving businesses. The veterinary industry transformed to meet sophisticated healthcare demands of pampered cats. Specialized feline oncologists, cardiologists, and behavioral therapists became legitimate medical specialties. Advanced diagnostic equipment like MRI machines and surgical robots became standard tools in high-end veterinary clinics. Pet insurance evolved from novelty products to essential financial planning tools as cat parents sought to ensure their feline family members could receive the best possible medical care regardless of cost. Some policies offered coverage levels comparable to human health insurance, including coverage for behavioral therapy, alternative treatments, and end-of-life care. The technology sector began developing increasingly sophisticated products specifically for cat parents. Automated feeding systems connected to smartphone apps allowed precise control over nutrition and feeding schedules. GPS tracking collars provided real-time location monitoring for outdoor cats. Cameras with treat dispensing capabilities allowed pet parents to interact with their cats remotely. Social media platforms dedicated exclusively to cats created global communities where cat parents could share experiences, seek advice, and celebrate their feline family members. These platforms generated millions of dollars in advertising revenue and spawned entire industries of cat-focused influencer marketing. The psychological benefits of cat parenthood became subjects of serious academic research. Studies revealed that caring for cats provided many of the same mental health benefits associated with human parenting, including increased sense of purpose, reduced depression and anxiety, and improved overall life satisfaction. This research led to development of therapy programs specifically designed around cat care for individuals dealing with mental health challenges, addiction recovery, and social isolation. The act of nurturing and being responsible for another living being proved to have profound therapeutic value. Educational institutions began incorporating cat care into their curricula as legitimate academic subjects. Veterinary schools expanded their behavioral medicine programs. Business schools offered courses on pet industry management and marketing. Social work programs included training on the role of companion animals in human wellness. The transformation was so complete that future historians would likely identify the late 20th and early 21st centuries as the period when cats completed their journey from working animals to full family members in human society. The ancient partnership had evolved into something unprecedented in the history of interspecies relationships. It's a bond characterized by genuine mutual affection, respect, and commitment to each other's welfare. However, the expenditure patterns unveiled something extraordinary about how humans appreciated their relationships with cats. People weren't merely purchasing basic necessities for their cats anymore. They were investing in premium nutrition, specialized medical treatments, behavioral therapy, environmental enrichment, and luxury products that would have been inconceivable for previous generations of cat owners. Certain cat parents were expending thousands of dollars annually on their feline companions, treating them as complete family members whose requirements and preferences merited serious consideration. The veterinary profession experienced dramatic transformations to meet evolving needs of cat parents who demanded identical levels of medical care for their cats that they expected for human family members. Veterinary medicine became increasingly specialized, with practitioners focusing specifically on feline medicine, feline surgery, feline behavior, and even feline dentistry and dermatology. Advanced medical technologies once reserved for human patients became routine components of feline healthcare. Cats began receiving MRI scans, chemotherapy treatments, surgical procedures that would have been considered impossible just decades earlier, and preventive care extending their lifespans well beyond what had been typical in wild or earlier domestic settings. The result was a generation of cats living longer, healthier, more comfortable lives than any cats in history. Indoor cats routinely lived well into their teens, with many reaching 20 years or more. This longevity meant humans were forming relationships with their cats lasting for significant portions of their adult lives, deepening emotional bonds and increasing these relationships' impact on human development and well-being. The aging cat population created new challenges and opportunities for deepening human-cat relationships. Cats with age-related health conditions required increasingly sophisticated care, demanding significant time, attention, and financial resources from their human families. Humans' willingness to provide this care often involving daily medication administration, special diets, and frequent veterinary visits, demonstrated the depth of commitment characterizing modern human-cat relationships. Senior cat care became a specialized field within veterinary medicine, focusing not just on treating disease but on maintaining quality of life and supporting human-cat bonds during challenging later years of feline life. Hospice care for cats became increasingly common, with families choosing to provide intensive supportive care rather than euthanasia. When cats developed terminal conditions, these end-of-life experiences often strengthened rather than strained human-cat relationships, as humans discovered reserves of compassion, patience, and dedication they hadn't known they possessed. The process of caring for aging or ill cats taught many people profound lessons about unconditional love, acceptance of mortality, and the value of providing comfort and companionship during difficult times. The grief humans experienced when their cats died began receiving serious attention from mental health professionals who recognized that pet loss could trigger genuine bereavement responses, requiring support and understanding. Pet loss support groups, specialized therapists, and even pet funeral services became increasingly common as society acknowledged the legitimate emotional impact of losing beloved cats. Memorial practices for deceased cats evolved to reflect their status as family members rather than mere pets. Cats were buried in pet cemeteries with elaborate headstones, cremated with their ashes kept in decorative urns, and commemorated with photo albums, online memorials, and even commissioned artwork. These practices helped humans process grief while honoring the significance of relationships that had often lasted for decades. Recognition that cats were family members rather than property had implications extending far beyond individual households. Animal welfare organizations began advocating for legal changes that would recognize emotional bonds between humans and cats and protect these relationships from unnecessary interference. Some progressive jurisdictions began treating animal cruelty cases more seriously, recognizing that harming someone's cat caused genuine emotional trauma to human family members. Housing policies began adapting to acknowledge that cats were essential family members whose presence couldn't be easily eliminated when people faced housing transitions. Pet-friendly housing became a significant market segment, with some landlords and developers specifically targeting cat-owning tenants willing to pay premium rents for accommodations, welcoming their feline family members. The travel industry underwent similar adaptations as cat parents demanded options for including their cats in vacation plans or ensuring proper care during extended absences. Pet-friendly hotels, specialized cat boarding facilities, and professional pet sitting services became increasingly sophisticated, offering services extending far beyond basic food and water provision, to include companionship, play sessions, and even daily updates with photos and videos for worried cat parents. Perhaps the most remarkable development was the emergence of what researchers called interspecies family dynamics in households with both humans and cats. Family relationships began developing that truly transcended species boundaries. Cats became integrated into human family rituals, decision-making processes, and emotional support systems in ways that would have been unimaginable to earlier generations. Children growing up with cats developed different relationships with animals and nature than previous generations. These kids learned to interpret non-verbal communication, respect autonomy and preferences of other living beings, and understand that meaningful relationships could exist between very different types of individuals. Cat presence in family life taught empathy, responsibility, and emotional intelligence in ways that couldn't be replicated through books or classroom instruction. Multi-generational families often found that cats served as bridges between different age groups, providing common ground for grandparents and grandchildren, facilitating conversations between family members who might otherwise struggle to connect, and creating shared experiences strengthening family bonds across generational divides. The therapeutic value of these family relationships became increasingly recognized by mental health professionals who began incorporating cats into treatment plans for various psychological and emotional conditions. Family therapy sessions sometimes included family cats, when therapists recognized cats played significant roles in family dynamics and emotional support systems. Cat integration into human family life created new forms of social organization, challenging traditional definitions of family, household, and kinship. Legal systems began grappling with questions about pet custody and divorce proceedings, inheritance rights for beloved cats, and family member responsibilities toward cats who had become integral parts of family structures. These legal and social changes reflected broader cultural shifts toward more inclusive family definitions, recognizing emotional bonds and mutual care relationships that could exist between humans and other species. Financial planning services began offering specialized advice for pet parents concerned about ensuring their cat's care in case of human disability or death. Pet trusts became legitimate estate planning tools, allowing people to set aside funds specifically for their cat's long-term care and maintenance. Insurance products evolved beyond basic veterinary coverage to include comprehensive policies covering behavioral therapy, alternative treatments, boarding during family emergencies, and even replacement costs for lost or stolen cats. Some policies offered benefits comparable to human health insurance, including coverage for second opinions, experimental treatments, and wellness programs. The pharmaceutical industry began developing medications specifically formulated for cats, rather than simply adapting human or dog medications for feline use. This specialized approach recognized that cats had unique physiological needs requiring targeted therapeutic approaches. Nutritional science advanced to create precisely balanced diets for cats at different life stages with specific health conditions and even individual preferences. Custom cat food formulations based on genetic testing and health monitoring became available, representing the pinnacle of personalized pet nutrition. Technology companies developed increasingly sophisticated products designed to strengthen human-cat relationships and improve feline quality of life. Interactive toys powered by artificial intelligence could adapt to individual cats' play styles and preferences. Environmental monitoring systems tracked everything from air quality to noise levels, ensuring optimal living conditions for sensitive feline family members. The transformation was so complete that sociologists began studying human-cat relationships as models for understanding how modern families were evolving to include non-human members. These relationships demonstrated that love, commitment, and mutual care could transcend species boundaries, creating bonds every bit as meaningful and enduring as traditional human family relationships. The ancient partnership between humans and cats had evolved into something unprecedented, a form of interspecies family life that enriched both species while challenging conventional notions about the boundaries between humans and animals. The cats who had begun as working partners in ancient granaries had become full family members in the most emotionally sophisticated sense of that term. The conventional nuclear family structure was broadening to encompass non-human family members whose requirements and preferences merited consideration in family decision-making procedures. The workplace consequences of these family dynamics became increasingly substantial as employers acknowledged that their employees' cats weren't merely pets, but family members whose needs could influence job performance, attendance, and overall wellness. Progressive employers began providing pet insurance as employee benefits, permitting flexible schedules for veterinary appointments, and even establishing pet-friendly work environments that recognized the significant role cats played in their employees' lives. The educational sector began incorporating these evolving human-cat relationships into curricula, exploring changing concepts of family responsibility and interspecies relationships. Children learned about different family types, including those encompassing non-human members, and developed more sophisticated understanding of ethical responsibilities accompanying care for other living beings. University-level courses began examining human-cat relationships as case studies in successful interspecies cooperation, cultural evolution, and ways that relationships between different species could benefit both parties while respecting their distinct characteristics and needs. These academic investigations contributed to growing understanding of how humans and cats had shaped each other's development over millennia of coevolution. Research emerging from these academic investigations revealed that human-cat relationships had become models for sustainable, mutually beneficial partnerships between different species. Unlike relationships based on domination or exploitation, human-cat bonds demonstrated how different life forms could maintain their essential characteristics while adapting to shared environments and common challenges. This model had implications extending far beyond specific relationships between humans and cats. Conservationists began exploring how similar principles might be applied to managing relationships between humans and wild species. Urban planners considered how cities could be designed to accommodate multiple species, and ethicists examined what human-cat relationships revealed about moral obligations between different life forms. The success of human-cat partnerships over 10,000 years had created templates for thinking about how humans might develop sustainable relationships with other species in an era of rapid environmental change and increasing urbanization. Lessons learned from living successfully with cats might prove essential for creating futures where humans and other species could thrive together rather than in competition. As we advance deeper into the 21st century, relationships between humans and cats continued evolving in directions that would have been unimaginable to those ancient farmers who first welcomed wild cats into their grain stores. Practical partnerships beginning with pest control had grown into something far more complex and meaningful, touching every aspect of human life, from family relationships to workplace policies to legal systems to cultural values. Today's cats lived lives simultaneously, more pampered and more integrated into human society than any cats in history. They were family members, therapy providers, cultural icons, and research subjects all at once. They had retained essential feline characteristics while adapting to roles and environments their wild ancestors could never have conceived. Through all these changes and developments, the fundamental nature of human-cat relationships remained remarkably consistent with what had emerged thousands of years earlier. It was still based on mutual respect, shared benefit, and recognition that both species brought unique qualities to partnerships that enhanced all participants' lives. The narrative, beginning with desperate farmers and opportunistic wildcats, had become one of the most successful examples of interspecies cooperation in Earth's life history. It demonstrated that different life forms could maintain distinct identities while building meaningful relationships, enriching everyone involved. Looking toward the future, human-cat relationships faced new challenges and opportunities that would test adaptability and resilience, characterizing this partnership for 100 centuries. Climate change, technological advancement, and cultural evolution would create conditions neither species had encountered before, yet they would meet these challenges together, just as they had met every previous challenge in their long shared journey through history. Cats curled up in sunny windows around the world carried within their genes and behaviors the accumulated wisdom of 10,000 years of partnership with humans. They were living links to that first moment when wild hunter met desperate farmer, and both recognized they had something valuable to offer each other. That recognition had grown into one of the most enduring and meaningful relationships between different species in our planet's history, showing no signs of ending anytime soon. The legacy of that ancient partnership was about to be tested in ways determining whether cats and humans could maintain their bond in a rapidly changing world. As the 21st century progressed, environmental pressures that hadn't existed since the last ice age began reshaping the planet, and both species found themselves adapting to challenges that would have seemed like science fiction to previous generations. Urban heat islands created by massive concrete cities were forcing cats to develop new behaviors for staying cool during increasingly intense summer temperatures. Cats in places like Phoenix and Dubai began adopting nocturnal activity patterns their ancestors in temperate fertile crescents had never needed. They learned seeking air-conditioned spaces, underground parking garages, and shaded areas providing relief from temperatures that could be lethal to animals evolved for more moderate climates. Meanwhile, rising sea levels and increased storm intensity were displacing both human and feline populations from coastal areas worldwide. Hurricane evacuation procedures had to be completely reimagined to account for millions of cats, now considered essential family members rather than expendable property. Emergency shelters began accommodating entire families, including their cats, recognizing that separating people from feline companions during disasters caused additional trauma and often prevented humans from evacuating when they should. Climate change's psychological impact on human populations created unexpected opportunities for cats to demonstrate their value as emotional support providers. As people struggled with eco-anxiety, climate grief, and stress of adapting to rapidly changing environmental conditions, cats provided the same steadying presence they had offered for millennia. Their ability to remain calm and adaptable facing change became sources of inspiration and comfort for humans, grappling with uncertainty about the future. Research into feline stress responses revealed that cats had developed remarkable resilience to environmental change over their long history of living alongside humans. Their stress hormone levels remained relatively stable, even when facing significant disruptions to routine or environment, suggesting that thousands of years of adaptation to human-created change had prepared them well for modern world challenges. This resilience made cats valuable partners for humans dealing with psychological challenges of climate adaptation. Therapy programs began specifically incorporating cats into treatment for climate-related anxiety and depression, recognizing that their calm presence and ability to find comfort in small pleasures could help humans develop similar coping strategies. Advanced climate modeling began incorporating data about cat populations and their movements, recognizing that feline behavioral changes often preceded human awareness of environmental shifts. Cats' sensitivity to barometric pressure changes, temperature fluctuations, and seasonal variations made them valuable early warning systems for climate-related changes. Veterinary medicine evolved new specialties, focused on climate adaptation for cats, developing treatments and preventive care for heat-related illnesses, air quality sensitivity, and stress-related disorders connected to environmental changes. Cooling vests, specialized nutrition for extreme weather, and modified vaccination schedules for changing disease patterns became standard components of feline healthcare. Urban architecture began incorporating cat-specific climate adaptations into building designs. Green roofs provided cooling spaces and hunting opportunities. Vertical gardens created air quality improvement while offering environmental enrichment. Underground passages and climate-controlled corridors allowed safe movement during extreme weather events. International cooperation on climate adaptation began, including considerations for companion animal welfare alongside human needs. Climate refugee protocols expanded to accommodate families with cats, recognizing that forcing people to abandon beloved companions often prevented necessary relocations and caused additional trauma during already difficult transitions. Scientific research into human-cat bonding revealed that these relationships actually became stronger during times of environmental stress, suggesting that evolutionary pressures had prepared both species to support each other during challenging periods. The partnership that had begun during agricultural transitions in ancient times was proving equally valuable during the climate transitions of the modern era. As both species faced an uncertain future, they continued drawing on the same qualities that had made their relationship successful: for 10,000 years, mutual adaptability, mutual support, and the ability to find comfort and companionship even in the most challenging circumstances. The cats of tomorrow would face environmental challenges their ancestors never imagined, but they would face them alongside humans who had learned to value and protect the ancient partnership that had enriched both species throughout their shared journey through history. Migration patterns of both humans and cats began transforming in response to shifting climate conditions. Northern metropolitan areas that had once been too frigid for comfortable year-round feline habitation became increasingly appealing as temperatures climbed. Cats began establishing populations in locations like northern Canada, Alaska, and Scandinavia, where their ancestors had struggled to survive. These climate migrations created fresh opportunities for cats to demonstrate their adaptability, while also presenting obstacles requiring human assistance. Cats relocating to Arctic territories needed help managing extended periods of darkness and extremely arid air their desert-adapted ancestors had never encountered. Humans residing in these areas began developing specialized care techniques and environmental modifications, helping their feline companions flourish in conditions pushing the boundaries of feline adaptability. Genetic research that had revealed extensive information about cat domestication began providing crucial insights into how cats might adapt to future climate conditions. Scientists identified specific genetic variants conferring advantages for temperature regulation, water conservation, and other traits becoming increasingly important as environmental conditions continued changing. This genetic information opened possibilities for conservation breeding programs designed to preserve and enhance traits, helping cats thrive in a transforming world. Rather than creating artificially modified cats, these programs worked with natural genetic variation, ensuring future cat populations would retain the adaptability that had served the species throughout its history with humans. The technology sector began recognizing cats as important considerations in product development and urban planning. Smart city initiatives started incorporating features designed to support urban cat populations, from temperature-controlled public spaces to water fountains, designed for both human and feline use. Building codes began including provisions for cat-friendly features like secure balconies and access to outdoor spaces, acknowledging cats' need for environmental stimulation. Artificial intelligence systems designed for monitoring urban wildlife began including cats as important indicators of ecosystem health. The behavior and population dynamics of urban cat colonies provided valuable data about environmental quality, food availability, and other factors affecting all urban species. Cats had become unwitting environmental sensors whose well-being reflected the overall health of human-modified ecosystems. Space exploration programs that had begun considering cats as potential companions for long-duration missions made significant advances in understanding how feline physiology and psychology might adapt to extraterrestrial environments. Preliminary studies suggested that cats' superior balance and spatial awareness might actually give them advantages in low-gravity environments, while their ability to remain calm in confined spaces made them well-suited for spacecraft conditions. Mock space habitat experiments began, including cats to study how their presence affected human crew psychology and social dynamics during extended isolation. The results confirmed what cat owners had always known intuitively. Cats provided unique forms of companionship that couldn't be replicated by technology or other animals. Their independent nature meant they didn't require constant attention from busy crew members, while their affectionate behavior provided emotional support during stressful periods. The prospect of cats accompanying humans to Mars or other worlds represented the ultimate test of a partnership that had already carried both species across every habitable environment on Earth. These theoretical space cats would face challenges more extreme than any their ancestors had encountered, yet they would do so alongside the humans who had been their partners for 10,000 years. Advanced life support systems began incorporating feline-specific requirements into their designs. Specialized waste management systems, feeding protocols adapted for zero gravity, and exercise equipment designed for cats became standard components of long-term space mission planning. The psychological benefits cats could provide during years-long journeys to distant worlds were considered invaluable for maintaining crew mental health and social cohesion. Training programs for potential space cats focused on gradual adaptation to enclosed environments, artificial lighting cycles, and the social dynamics of small group living. Early results suggested that cats' natural adaptability and stress resilience would serve them well in the challenging environment of interplanetary travel. The ethical considerations of taking cats to space sparked intense debates within scientific communities. Some argued that subjecting cats to the risks and isolation of space travel was unfair to animals who had no choice in the matter. Others contended that cats had always been explorers and pioneers, and that excluding them from humanity's greatest adventure would be contrary to their nature as partners in human expansion. International space agencies began developing comprehensive protocols for feline space travel, including specialized medical care procedures, behavioral management techniques, and emergency protocols adapted for spacecraft environments. These guidelines drew on thousands of years of accumulated knowledge about human-cat relationships, while addressing the completely novel challenges of interplanetary exploration. As humanity prepared to become a multiplanetary species, cats stood ready to continue their ancient role as companions, stress relievers, and bridges to the natural world humans would leave behind. Their journey from Middle Eastern wildcats to potential Mars colonists represented one of evolution's most remarkable success stories. The partnership that began when desperate farmers first welcomed wild hunters into their grain stores had evolved into something that could literally reach for the stars through agricultural revolutions, imperial expansions, industrial transformations, digital revolutions, and climate adaptations. Cats had maintained their essential character while continuously adapting to whatever challenges humanity presented. They succeeded not by becoming more dependent on humans, but by becoming better at being cats. Their independence, intelligence, and adaptability, the same traits that allowed their ancestors to thrive in ancient granaries, continued serving them well in modern apartments, suburban homes, urban alleyways, and potentially spacecraft traveling to distant worlds. And there you have it. From those initial desperate cultivators battling rodent invasions in ancient grain repositories to modern families planning Mars expeditions with their feline companions, the narrative of cats and humans is nothing short of remarkable. What commenced as a simple exchange between pest eliminator and food provider has become one of the most successful alliances in Earth's life history. Today's 600 million house cats carry the genetic heritage of just 5 wild cats who made a decision 10,000 years ago that would transform everything. They selected us. We selected them back. Together we've constructed a relationship that survived ice ages, crossed oceans, and might just reach the stars. The cats curled up in sunny windows around the world today are living links to that first momentous encounter between wild hunter and desperate farmer. They carry within their genes and behaviors the accumulated wisdom of 100 centuries of partnership with humans. They are simultaneously ancient survivors and modern innovators, wild predators and beloved family members, independent spirits and devoted companions. As we stand on the threshold of becoming an interplanetary species, cats stand ready to continue their remarkable journey alongside us. The same qualities that made them successful partners in ancient Mesopotamian settlements, their adaptability, their balance of independence and sociability, their ability to provide comfort while maintaining their essential wild nature, make them ideal companions for the challenges that lie ahead. The story that began in fertile crescent grain stores continues writing itself in research laboratories, space agencies, and countless homes around the world. Each purr, each head bump, each moment of quiet companionship between human and cat represents a continuation of one of the most enduring partnerships in the history of life on Earth. Not bad for a species that domesticated itself, and doing so changed the course of human civilization forever. The future belongs to both of us, together, just as it has for the past 10,000 years of our shared journey through history and toward the stars.